Use with multiplying fractions is that it's pretty straightforward. It's really not terribly complicated. The bad news is once you get into mixed numbers and that kind of stuff, it just becomes a long process, okay? Which means there's a lot of steps and there's a lot of potential to make mistakes, okay? But as long as you're careful, take your time, follow the steps, you'll be in good shape. All right, so multiplying fractions, say we have 2/3 times 1/4. Okay. Now, the good news with multiplying fractions is you don't need to worry about the denominators being the same, okay? You don't have to get a common denominator. Yay, that's one less step, right? All right, so with multiplying fractions, all you do is just multiply across. 2 times 1, oh, that's 2. 3 times 4, that's 12, okay? So with addition and subtractions, you always just kept the denominator the same and put that there. Nope, with multiplication, we just multiply across, okay? So we did 2/3 times 1/4, we got 2/12, okay? What do we have to do now? Simplify, okay? That's the same thing as 1/6. All right, now, and I should have did it on this last one, but I want to go ahead and show you kind of a shortcut that you could take before you even multiply, because sometimes you get fairly large numbers, and then you're going to get a huge number here once you multiply them, and then you have a lot of simplifying to do at the end. Okay, so this is just kind of a shortcut you could do so you don't have to do so much simplification at the end. So let's do 3/8 times 4/5, okay? All right, so normally just 3 times 4, 12, 8 times 5, 40. Okay, 12/40. And we know once we get that number, we're going to have some simplification to do after that. Okay, but before I even multiply, I'm going to simplify ahead of time. And what we do is we look at kind of like make a crisscross. Okay, so 3 and 3 and 5, do they have any factors in common? No. 4 and 8, do they? Yeah, they both have 4. So we're going to go ahead and simplify ahead of time. We're going to take the 4, change it to a 1, take the 8. How many 4s go into 8? 2. Okay, so now the 4 becomes a 1, the 8 becomes a 2. Okay, so we have 3 times the 1 now that we turn the 4 into. That's a 3. We've got a 2 now times 5. And if you look at that, my answer is already in simplest form. Okay, now you could have just multiplied across and did the 12 before we even simplified into 12/40. We could have done that, and then we would have had to simplify. Okay, they both have 4 as a factor, and then we still would have gotten 3/10. That would have been, that way's perfectly fine too. I'm just showing you kind of a shortcut because sometimes you do get very large numbers and it just gets very tedious at the end to simplify. Let's work out a few more examples. Okay. 5/8 times 3/6. Okay, so kind of look across. 5 and 6, do they have any factors in common? No. 3 and 8, do they have any factors in common? No. Okay, so in this case, we can't simplify ahead of time. So now we just have to go ahead and multiply across. 5 times 3, that's 15. 8 times 6, that's 48. Okay, so 15/48, do they have any factors in common? I do believe they're both divisible by 3. Okay, so divide by 3, divide by 3. Let's go ahead, and that would be 5 over 3 goes into 48 16 times. Okay, so now my answer is 5/16. Okay. Okay, so 2/9 times 3/8. Okay, let's do that ahead of time where we can simplify. 2 and 8, do they have any factors in common? Yeah, they have 2. Okay, so we're going to turn the 2. How many 2's go into 2? 1. How many 2's go into 8? 4. Okay, so now we turn that into 1/4. Okay, now let's look at 3 and 9. Do they have any factors in common? Yeah, they have 3. Okay, so how many 3's go into 3? 1. How many 3's go into 9? 3. Okay, so now we've got, 1 and 1. Well, it's 1 over 3 times 4, 12. 1/12. All right. And I want you to see, okay, 2 times 3 before we simplified, that would have been 6. 9 times 8, that would have been 72. And we would have simplified that into 1/12, okay? So doing that simplification ahead of time, it just already gives us our answer in simplest form, and it makes the multiplication very easy. Let me show you an example where that is really useful. Okay, 16 over 25 times 45 over 40. All right, so those are some pretty big numbers. I mean, I'm going to have to multiply 16 times 45 and then multiply 25 times 40, okay? It's going to take me a little while. So I want to check ahead of time to see, do they have any factors in common? If I can simplify this down, maybe I don't have as many, maybe I don't have to multiply as large of numbers. Okay, so let's do 16 and 40, 25 and 45. 16 and 40, do they have any factors in common? Yeah, they have the number 8. They both are divisible by 8. Okay, so I'm going to simplify. How many 8s go into 16? 2. How many 8s go into 40? 5. Okay, so now let's look at 25 and 45. Do they have any factors in common? Yeah, they have the number 5. How many 5s go into 25? 5. How many 5s go into 45? 9. All right, well now I've got 2 times 9. That's so much easier to do than 16 times 45. 2 times 9, that's 18. Okay, down here I've got 5 times 5. Isn't that easier to do than doing 25 times 40? Yeah. So my answer is 18 over 25, and it's already in simplest form. Okay, so using that simplification process ahead of time will save you a lot of work down the road. All right, so good luck with your assignment. Okay, so I cut you off a little too soon. So I did want to talk about a couple other things. I did show you the process of multiplying, but I wanted you to be aware of, because in your assignment you're going to see like problems written like 1/3 times 2 6, or you'll see it 1/3 times 2 6, or you may see 1/3 of 2 6. Okay, all of these mean multiplication. They'll probably just alternate these just to make sure you're paying attention. But anytime you see the word of, it's implying multiplication. That dot is multiplication. Okay, so if you see it written those 3 ways, any of those 3 ways in your assignment, just multiply like I showed you before. All right, good luck.